Dark Rival, Chapter 9. Now Qui-Gon could see his mistakes. He had been blind to Xanatos' faults. He indulged the boy. He gave without seeing. He was a failure as a master, because he trusted the apprentice too much. He let his fondness blind him to what he should have seen all along. After some reflection, Qui-Gon decided to ask Sontag and Virta if they had seen a box like the one Obi-Wan had described. They had both visited the Agricore enrichment zones many times. Perhaps there was a simple explanation for what Obi-Wan had found. Qui-Gon described the box, and Virta nodded. "I've seen a box like that." "So have I," Sontag agreed, thinking. "In the Western Enrichment Zone. I was just there recently." "I think I saw one in the Northern Zone," Virta added. "It was with other equipment. I'm sure it contains Agricore's instruments." It was exactly the response Qui-Gon had been hoping for. The box must not be significant. In the other zones, it had been in plain view. So why was he worried? Maybe because it had been placed with off-world mining equipment. Obi-Wan couldn't have been wrong about that. Back in his quarters, he jacked into his data pad to investigate off-world. He was curious about what positions Xanatos held. His former apprentice had been uncharacteristically silent on that subject. If he was a high official, wouldn't he have boasted of his title? Qui-Gon searched off-world company records. He could find no mention of the name Xanatos, which meant what? Either Xanatos was lying about his involvement, or his position was a secret within the company. But why? Qui-Gon clicked a few more keys. The head of the company was anonymous, but a board of directors was listed. Qui-Gon recognized most of the names, rulers of world that had were virtually controlled by off-world figureheads. There was no answer yet, but he had an idea where to look for them. It was time to pay a visit to off-world headquarters. Off-world did not try to beautify their Bandamere office. The building, a black windowless block, echoed the grim mines that surrounded it. Qui-Gon entered the center hall with its azurite-studded walls. The mineral was its only decoration. A Hutt security guard sat behind a black cube that served as a desk. His body rolled past the confines of the desk. He turned flat, dead eyes toward Qui-Gon. "I have come to see Xanatos," Qui-Gon said. "Move, wretch," the Hutt replied, bored. "Take your petty complaints to your immediate supervisor. There's no one here anyway. Xanatos is on an exploration trip to the North Mine Quadrant." The Hutt reached for a blaster. So much for corporate hospitality. Qui-Gon didn't move a muscle. He concentrated on the Hutt's greasy mind, pulling energy in from the Force. "Perhaps I should wait in his private office," he said. "You should wait in his private office," the Hutt replied tonelessly. "Take the restricted lift tube to Horizon 30. "Security controls should be lifted," Qui-Gon said. "All security controls shall be lifted." Qui-Gon entered the tube marked Restricted. There was only one indicator light, the Horizon 30. The lift tube reached the floor in seconds. He stepped off into a reception area. The chairs were made of stone. The cube-like desk was empty. He could see no door to another room, just a blank, empty wall. A blank wall. He placed a hand against the wall. When he took it away, he saw a brief flicker of transparency. Obi-Wan's description tugged at Qui-Gon's memory. He'd read about the technology advances on Telos, the home planet of Xanatos. Recently, he had been able to cover transparasteel with a special coating that rendered it opaque. When a thermoelectric impulse was generated, the wall returned to normal transparency. He pressed his whole body against the wall and turned it transparent. Could he see the inner office? Still, where was the door? Qui-Gon drew the Force in and felt it move within him like a cresting wave. The entire wall became transparent. Then the hidden door swung open. As soon as he was inside, the wall became once more opaque. It was a clever system, Qui-Gon thought, walking toward the enormous stone desk. Xanatos could control the transparency from the reception area. He would be able to see inside the office before he entered. If someone managed to slip past security, the intruder would be unable to hide in the office. How like Xanatos, concealing and revealing. He'd forgotten how clever his apprentice was about secrets. He would reveal something, leading you to think he'd told you everything, but what he revealed was always a trifle. He could keep his most important secrets under his control. The only piece of furniture in the office was a stone desk. Qui-Gon pressed a button and the data pad rose from the top of it. He assessed the file system. Just as he suspected, it was holographic. The files rose before him. He flipped through the directory. He wasn't sure what he was looking for. There was a file on the home planet mine as he assessed it. It was very helpful, just a list of money and droids that had been loaned to after the explosion. He closed it. Then he saw a file directory with no name. An icon hovered where a label should have been. 2 broken circles that overlapped. Qui-Gon's heart beat faster. The 2 broken circles could be read as letters 2, O, and C. Offworld Corporation. Qui-Gon assessed the directory, but a warning light pulsed red. "Password, please," a voice said. Qui-Gon hesitated. Knowing Xantos, he had only one chance to get it right. If he didn't, Xantos had surely rigged the hologram to alert him that someone had tried to break in. It was a risk, but he had to take it. "Cyron," he said, using Xantos' father's name. The directory flipped open. He scanned the list of files. To his dismay, they were all written in code. He would never have time to break it, and if he removed a file, Xantos would know he'd been there. But he'd gotten what he'd come for anyway. Qui-Gon closed the file system thoughtfully. 2 broken circles had formed the initials of the Offworld Corporation. Perhaps others would see that as a coincidence, but he knew that nothing was casual to Xantos. Qui-Gon's instinct told him that he had found the person who controlled Offworld. Perhaps Xantos had even founded it. But why would he keep it secret? So he could maneuver more easily, Qui-Gon guessed. Xantos had always preferred stealthy and trickery to achieve his ends. And the question was, what was Xantos after?